make up stuff.
The fact that it was called unprecedented when the use of force board recommended that somebody be fired for shooting somebody because they thought his hat was a gun is disgraceful.
Welcome to Radical Anarchist Revolution. I'm your host, Tasha Heath of Southern Nevada Watchdogs, and I'm here with Nevada Cop Block's Kelly Patterson. We are local activists bringing you real talk every other Monday about local Las Vegas and Nevada issues concerning freedom, injustice, and liberty from government oppression. This week we are heading up part 2 of Nevada, Clark County School District and education in Nevada. We will have a special guest here with us today, Christina Leventis. She is really an amazing lady. I met her about 2 years ago when Melissa and I were doing Southern Nevada Watchdogs, and we had just been started. And we had just found out from our good friend Roxanne Hughes about Common Core because her kids were in public school, and she was choosing to start homeschooling them because the school system had gotten so bad for her children. And really what started off kind of as a bunch of moms just concerned protesting at schools, we decided to have a day where we tried to rally up people, and we hit up a bunch of different schools in Las Vegas and Henderson to hand out information to parents about what Common Core was, where they could find more information. And we did get a good response that day. It was pouring rain the first protest we did, and we stuck it out with our signs in the rain. But I'm going to go ahead and get Christina on with us. We have a few questions, and she can introduce herself. Christina, are you there?
I am, Tasha. Thank you so much for having me on. Hi, Kelly. It's great to be on. I'm sorry I couldn't be down there with you in person today. I got a little waylaid with some other business at church, but I'm so thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to be talking about Common Core. Not thrilled to actually be talking about this subject, but still to be bringing it to parents' attention, and hopefully we'll get more parents out there involved. As you said, we started out with our little signs and meeting you and Melissa and Roxanne, and knowing that there's other parents out there that care about education, care about what's going on with their kids, and what the heck is going on inside these government institutions. It's good to know we're out there.
Yes, and you guys actually, I kind of backed off the Common Core part, but you were very involved in trying to get to legislation. You were talking to politicians and holding meetings for parents all the time. You really put your heart and soul into spreading awareness on this. I would just like you to maybe tell us a little bit about how you really got involved in fighting Common Core and how you heard about it.
I did, and thank you for that. I did put my heart and soul into it for a couple of years. I was hoping that we could rally enough parents to get the legislature and the governor of Nevada to understand how important this subject is. And I'm not sure we accomplished that. I think that money does speak loudly, and in this case in Nevada, it spoke extremely loudly, and the parents were kicked to the curb. I think you met my dear friend Amy Bauk.
Yes.
Amy, like Roxanne, finally gave up as well on the public school system. She pulled her children out as well, strictly because of Common Core. The Common Core standards were substandard, and she gave up fighting and decided to expend her energies, if you will, on protecting her children rather than trying to save everyone else's, because it just turned out it wasn't worth it. And this last go around with this legislature, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, and I will back up, Tasha. I don't mean to.
It's okay.
Sidestep your question, but I do want to just briefly speak to the legislative issue, because, like you, I have stepped away a little bit from the Common Core State Standards Initiative fight, simply because it did get exhausting, and it was so disappointing when Senator Becky Harris, who was handpicked to be the education chair, even though she has no educational background that I've been able to find or get my hands on through any research, she refused to even hear the bill that Senator Scott Hammond wrote, which was SB 290. Senator Hammond's bill would have called for a complete repeal of the standards and the complementary smarter balanced testing that goes along with it. And Senator Harris refused to even allow the bill to be heard in committee, which was simply heartbreaking for those of us who understand the damage that the Common Core standards are doing to the children right now in the school system. So I'm not really sure what the thinking was on that, if there was any thinking involved. But to back up to your question, my involvement stemmed from Amy's involvement, Amy Bauck. Amy was very much involved and aware that there was some dirty dealings going on behind the scenes, and parents were not involved.
Right.
And she brought it to my attention back in 2012, and at that time I wasn't able to get too involved, but I did catch up to her in 2013, and that's when she and I, in early 13, when she and I started, as you said, hosting meetings and getting the word out, and put a lot of our own money into written documentation to let people know, and to literally, as you said, stand outside of schools, stand outside of parking lots, anywhere where we could, Trader Joe's, Smith, anywhere where we could find moms and dads, and let them know, it's more than just dropping your kids off at the institution. You have to get involved. You have to start asking questions. So the background on the standards is that they were written by two non-education institutions, if you will, the CCSSO, which is the Chief Council of State Superintendents, and the NGO, which is the National Governors Organization. Now, both of those are what we call trade organizations, and trade organizations will basically do whatever you ask them to do for the right price tag.
Right, but before we get into that, did all of it start from maybe like Race to the Top and No Child Left Behind, or did it start with?
Well, right, and I'm going back even before that. I'm going back to how the standards actually got written, but
perfect.
But that's how they got written. But the way they got out to the states, which is what you're talking about, is the carrot and stick, which is the money, and that was the Race to the Top grants, which were offered to the states. There was a big fat dollar amount, $4.35 billion, which the states were told, you can have a piece of this, a chunk of this money, if you apply for if you institute these standards. So to be clear, and I want to be clear on this, that no state got any money for accepting the standards. They had to just apply for the standards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So just applying for the standards, it was not a guarantee that you'd get money, but you had to sign on to these standards for just applying for the money without the guarantee that you would get the money. It's a little complicated. It's a little convoluted.
And with signing there were strings attached too.
Absolutely, and the standards were the strings.
Yeah.
And there was three other major strings. You had to attach assessments to evaluations to your teachers. You had to attach assessments to your students, and there's data mining that goes along with that went along with as part of this with the Race to the Top. I'm sorry, I'm hesitating a little bit because I'm trying to picture the document in front of me, and since I'm not at my home, I had to dial in from the road. I'm not at my home. I can't picture the document right now, but those are the four major things. To apply for Race to the Top, you had to commit to these four areas: the standards, the school turnaround, the teacher evaluations, and the data mining.
So, like, the data mining was like from the beginning. It wasn't like something they threw in afterwards.
No, absolutely, it was part of it. And you can look it. You can look it up. You can pull the documentation, and if you can't find it, I'll be glad to send it to you, Kelly. But that was absolutely part of Race to the Top. It's been there from the beginning. As a matter of fact, those of us that were doing a lot of research at that time really firmly believe that the standards were nothing more
Then the
than
data
the
mining.
pathway to the bingo.
Yeah.
The pathway to the data mining. We think it's a big ruse.
Right.
Because the standards are not higher standards at all. As a matter of fact, the standards have been proven to be much lower. And I'm sure the two of you have followed the recent NAEP,
Yes.
the National Academy, what they call National Academic Education Progress Report, what they call the national report card. The NAEP reports have just come out, and they have proven. We can talk about the whole U.S., but I know you want to focus on Nevada. Nevada scores have actually fallen in both math and reading since the implementation of Common Core, so that speaks for itself.
Well, and we were already so far behind, and Common Core, we were sold on it it was supposed to help Nevada catch up with everybody else. We're all going to be on the same level, and everybody's failing, especially math and reading. I think I just read Nevada's really failing that. But I wanted to go back to data mining since you guys brought it up. That the government is collecting copious amounts of data on every single child. And in the past, it would have been illegal, but the Department of Education, they weakened the federal privacy law. I think it was called FERPA, yes, in like 2012. And a lot of people believe that, they don't believe. It's a fact that the Gates Foundation is putting like billions into the data collection.
The Gates Foundation has put millions and millions and millions into many areas of Common Core research, CommonCore implementation, Common Core curriculum, Common Core everything. And I'm sure it does include the data as well. Again, I'm not at home. I can't pull up the documents to cite you chapter and verse right now, Tasha. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
But the data mining that's going on is they're telling us, this is what we're being told, that they want to be able to take a look at the kids apples to apples across the state to see how they are testing. Well, that's fine, but you can't do that without a national curriculum because you can't test the kids in Nevada if you're testing them on ABC, but you're testing the kids in Tennessee on XYZ. It has to be the same curriculum. Well, that's against the law.
Right, because
curriculum.
It's supposed to go state by state and even district by district, really.
Absolutely. It's supposed to be completely local. It's supposed to be out your back door local. And to do this testing, it would dictate a national curriculum. So again, it's all smoke and mirrors. They're breaking laws right and left, but they're doing it in such a way that it appears as though the states, they keep using the word, the states adopted. They're using the word adopted, that we've somehow done this to ourselves, that we've asked for this. Well, when you hang millions of dollars in front of people's faces, you make that so tempting, they're going to sign on. In fact, we signed on sight unseen, and again, we've got a paper trail to prove it. In May of 2009, Dr. Keith Rowe, who was our state superintendent at the time, he was our Dale Urquiaga before we had Dale. He signed on to the standards before they were ever written, and he said, "Yeah, we'll take them."
How much were they getting offered to sign on to this? How much was the state of Nevada supposed to get? Do you know?
I don't know. Some percentage of that $4.35 billion.
Okay.
Some percentage. We actually got none in the first round. I think Tennessee. I want to say Delaware, but don't hold me to that. Tennessee was the first state to implement. So of the first round of the grant, Tennessee was one of the first two states. In the second round, there was 10 or 11 states and D.C., District of Columbia. They received money, I believe. In the second round, I think Carson City received a little bit, either in the second round or in the district round of grant money. But the state of Nevada as a whole did not receive any. But yet we still, because we applied, we're stuck with them. But again, let me back up. Keith Rowe, Dr. Keith Rowe, signed on to the standards. He says, "Yeah, we'll take them. We'll be a part of this," back in May of 2009. So everything after that, anytime anyone stands up in front of you, Steve Canavero, Gail Orteaga and says that we went through this whole process, that we had a vetting process, that we had all these